Welcome to another edition of DLO After the Show. I know that we've been on a bit of a Christmas break, but we wanted to take a moment to bring you guys a little special treat. I'm Kenny, your host. I messed it up again. But because we normally do the whole, I got it right like the last two episodes. But I am Kenny, joined by my lovely wife,
Natasha.
And we are joined today by the another special guest. I know we had Kristen Booth last time, and now we have the ever lovely Crystal Lowe. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
So I know that we have been trying to get this interview nailed down for a few weeks now. Not as, and I'll say not as difficult as trying to get Eric Mabius, but I know he's been very, very busy. We were supposed to do this about a month ago, and then I think a week ago, and we finally got everything, all the planets aligned, and we are here now.
Yes.
Again, welcome to the show. We are very happy to have you here. Pardon, I don't know why my voice just cracked like I'm in puberty or something. It's really, really weird. But we want to just go ahead and just get started a little bit with a few questions, and then we, see where the conversation goes. First and foremost, I know there's a bit of synergy here because you're a BC girl, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so is my wife. I'm from Florida, so I'm not BC.
What part of BC are you from?
Northwestern. So I lived way up. I was 3 hours from the Alaskan border. In a little town. I was 5 hours north of Prince George.
Wow.
So I was way up there.
Yeah, it's funny because I talk about Canadians and I'm like, I'm a Canadian, but I'm not like a real Canadian. What's that mean? I was like, I grew up in Vancouver, so it feels like I'm like a city I don't, when you go to further, you're like, oh, these are real Canadians. These people really do hunt moose. They wear plaid, and not to be ironic, not to be hipsters, because everybody wears plaid there. And, it's a real thing.
Yes.
They really have maple syrup. That's real. But I'm from the city, so it doesn't feel as Canadian.
I was telling him, if we start talking about BC, people are like, oh, you're from BC, so I live here. And I'm like, yep, because I live in BC. I know where everywhere is. No, I don't.
That's what people think.
But, and I mean, I've been up to BC twice, right?
Yeah.
Twice. I've been up to BC twice, up where she lived in, up by Smithers and a couple areas up there, and I absolutely love it. That's why I think I kind of love where we live right now. We live a little bit out in the country and mountains and everything. That's, I grew up by the beach, and I much prefer mountains now. So yes.
Oh, interesting.
Absolutely. But I did see, we're going to test how accurate, because I like to listen to a lot of interviews of people that I'm about to interview, and I also like to try to do as much reading as possible to see if I get as much accurate information as possible. So we're going to test IMDb and Wikipedia a little bit here. But it said that, real quick, just something that I'm very, very interested in, that your mother is Scottish and your father's Chinese?
Yes, my mother is from Scotland, Glasgow.
Oh, wow.
I call them I forget, but they're my white family. So that's what I call them, my white family. And my mom is white with red hair and freckles. And my whole white side is as white as you can get. And they immigrated to Vancouver. My grandfather was a pastor, a Baptist pastor. And so he ended up being part of a church that was in Vancouver. And then my dad came over from Hong Kong to study in Vancouver, and they met at a corner store, of course, that he was working at, called Lowe's, Lowe's convenience store, which
That's
is funny.
Hilarious.
So they were married, and then at that time too, there wasn't a lot of mixed race. If there were, it wasn't really talked about too much. So that was interesting growing up. But my parents are split now, and my mom is remarried to my stepdad, who is really my father. He's my rock. But I had a really cool upbringing because my Christmases involved waking up in the morning and then opening all the presents, and then we would go to church, and then I spent it with my white family, like the daytime, and then at nighttime I would go see my Chinese family, and we would have a big Chinese dinner at a restaurant.
Nice.
So that's because Chinese people don't celebrate like white people celebrate,
Right.
Or they do, but it's different. They eat Chinese food and whatever. So that's how I celebrated Christmas.
That's awesome.
But I got the best of both worlds.
It's just because of the synergy there. I remember A Christmas Story and how after everything went awry, they end up at the Chinese food restaurant at the very end of the movie.
That's the best. Yes, the best.
So,
Yeah.
and the way you described your mother, I'm just thinking of Brave and Merida with the red hair,
Yes.
the freckles, the
Yes.
whole nine.
My whole life, all my aunts, whenever you see, like, whenever I, have events and my friends always see my aunts and my mother always like, when my husband met my mom for the first time, he thought I was lying. He thought I was pulling a practical joke. He's like, that's not your mom. I was like, no, that's my mom. He was like, no, that can't be your mom. I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is,
and I don't really look like either of them. My sister and I look alike, but I don't look like either parent really. But if you talk to my mom, we're the same. It's like our personalities are the same.
Well, and it's funny because you're saying that your husband didn't really think that she was your mother, and I'm looking at, looking at IMDb, which we were just talking about right before we got connected. I think it's hilarious that IMDb says that your trademark is long brown hair and a tan. That's your.
Well, I guess if I'm going to trademark something, I mean, better than other things that I could have trademarked, I guess. What a strange. Who decides that?
I don't know. There's just a lot of weird people online that just go in and fill in information. Okay, so you lived over in Hong Kong for a while, yeah?
I lived there for 2 years, and I learned how to speak Chinese. I speak Cantonese. We lived in a very tiny apartment that we shared with my Chinese grandparents. And my Chinese grandma doesn't speak English. Well, she pretends she doesn't speak any English, but she speaks a little bit. But her rule was, if you don't speak Chinese, you don't eat, because she was the one cooking. So I was like, and I sure learned quick.
You're like, I gotta eat. So
if she's like, you want to ask for food? Then ask me in Chinese, So I learned that way. And my sister speaks it pretty fluently as well, too.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I know that, well, I mean, we've talked about food a fair bit already, Christmas dinner and then your grandmother. Now, I saw that you and your husband ran a restaurant, yeah?
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
Did I hear that you guys sold it?
We did. It's still there. It's still operating under Hyde, I think.
What type of cuisine was it?
I mean, sorry?
What type of cuisine was it?
It was comfort food, and it was kind of like, it was loosely like an Alice in Wonderland, dark Alice in Wonderland kind of little restaurant. And I had performers. I had burlesque performers. I had comedians that would come in and do stand-up comedy, and singers. And it was a very tiny little spot. It was only, I think, 60 seats altogether with a patio. And I really opened it. I had always wanted to have a bar. I don't know why. I was like, I'm going to do this. And I'd worked in the food industry for years and years and years before that too. So it just made sense. And I've owned small businesses since I was 18, I think.
Oh, wow.
I had a modeling agency. I ran a burlesque company that I took on tour with all the girls, and I produced shows for them.
That's not on IMDb.
It was called Sneaky Kiki's Girlesque. It was fantastic. It was
That's
really fun.
really cool.
I had what else did I have? I had an event planning company as well for a little while. So I've always had small businesses, and that was the first time I ever wanted to open a storefront and see what that was like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much work. Restaurants are crazy. Plus, my husband and I built it as well. Like, we did all the renovations ourselves.
Nice.
So we were opening the restaurant from like 11 till midnight. We would go home and sleep for 3 hours, and we would come back at 4 in the morning and renovate together. I mean, the fact that we're still together, pretty shocking, because I thought I was going to kill him many times during that process. But here we are.
Well,
16 years, still there.
Nice. We ran a business over in Georgia for about 8 years, and we started it pretty much out of necessity. It was right around when everything crashed in 2008. So it was one of those things where we said probably about midway through, it's like, you know what, if a couple can start a business together and stay together throughout the duration of the business, they're solid for life, because you do everything from the ground up, and you do everything together, and you make those decisions.
And you don't always agree.
Yeah. Well, we were, part of the reason we sold it too, we were joking and not joking, but I said, I really don't want to be talking about ordering more forks during intimate moments, and that's happening. It's happening where we're in an intimate moment. I'm like, wait, did you order the salad thing? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I feel like this is time we should pull the plug during that, because this is not working. There's some things that need to be left private, Yeah.
Exactly. Well, once you put that, now you were in the middle of your acting career while the restaurant was going on as well, wasn't it? So
Yes, I think I booked Primeval, which was a series regular that I was doing, and I had the restaurant. I did. And then I booked Signed Sealed. And when I booked Signed Sealed, I was like, I can't do both, which is also part of the reason why we let it go. But the restaurant served its purpose for me already. The restaurant taught me that I wanted to produce, which I didn't know I wanted to do. And then I wanted to direct, and taught me that I could find money. Because I have a high school education. I never went to post-secondary. And so I had never known how to write a business plan or anything like that. So I'm self-taught. So I went online and Googled business plan. I'm not joking.
Suddenly.
Yep. Taught myself how to write a business plan. I taught myself how to get funding. I got money for that restaurant. My husband brought in half. I brought in half. And
nice.
Restaurant funding is like they're 90% failure rate. So it's very hard to get money for them. And so what that did was it proved to me that I could do. I was like, oh, I can do more than Not that I love acting, but I have the ability to do more, and I like doing more. So I think that taught me that I love film. I love storytelling. That's really where my heart is. So if I'm going to spend 15 hours a day doing something, it needs to be behind a camera or in front of a camera or around storytelling.
I was about to say, when do you sleep? Because I don't. You're backlogged.
People. I think that's just my personality. It's always been my personality. I can't, stop moving. Sometimes to a fault, and I have to force myself to go to the Korean spa, which isn't such a bad thing. and get a massage and relax, because I want to keep creating. Especially now, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, but and I wanted to tell you guys to tell the audience, but I'm going to put this on Twitter later. I saw the film The Hate You Give. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I have not seen it yet. It is on my list. I did see that you made a post about it, and I think I retweeted it because it looks amazing.
It is. So that was a film that I went and saw that I was like, oh, yeah, this is why I tell story. This is what I want to do. This is what affects change. This is what shows the world perspective from different points of view, from understanding. Like, it made my whole heart happy again. And I was like, no, I got to keep telling these stories. So I actually want to tell you can put on your podcast, but I'm going to be putting it on Twitter. For anybody that goes and watches that film and can show a ticket, takes a photo of themselves with their ticket or with the film itself, I will personally write them a thank you card and mail it to them.
Okay. Wow. I'll definitely put that out there as well. And whenever you tweet it, I'll retweet that as well, because, there are some movies that, and some stories that are told that just have so much it feels heavy, and sometimes it's a good heavy, sometimes it's a I'm never watching that movie again heavy, but still it's poignant storytelling,
especially for now. It's stuff that needs to happen now.
Yeah, and I think what's missing is we really don't understand people's point of view, and so like I'm in the business of empathy. Right. My job is to have empathy for every character I play, never judge them, and try to just understand them. That's my job, is to portray them in a way that goes, okay, so I have to look into where people are coming from all the time. But your average person who doesn't do that for a living doesn't. We kind of get stuck in our own, like, well, I don't like that point of view, or it makes me uncomfortable, or this is the only way I've ever seen it. And so those kind of films and this kind of storytelling is crucial, because the film is beautiful. I know people will look at the subject matter and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe too dark, or it might, it's not. It will make you understand people's point of view, and that's how we can move forward.
Yes.
We can't really move forward until we try to really understand where someone else is coming from. And films like that, those kind of films are like, oh, okay, I see somebody else's point of view, and it's done so beautifully. It was, I didn't know what it was about, and I went in there at 11 a.m. with a lot of makeup on, and I had no makeup by the time I came out of there. I was like, and I talked to the director and was like, thanks a lot. You owe me a face full of makeup, because it's like whoosh. But it was so beautiful, and I didn't stop thinking about it even now I'm still thinking about it. I'm I'm not attached to the film. I have nothing to do with the film. And I still want to offer this to people just to get people to see it because that's how much it impacted me. And that's the kind of stories I want to tell. And Signed Sealed is the inspiration for that because of the way Martha's story tells.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she really finds a way to reach people about huge, massive issues.
Yeah.
But it's her way is done like, you know, it's like a butterfly. You don't even know that it's graced you and then it's graced you, you know.
Right.
And you walk away and you're like, oh, wow, that sunk in. You know, Art to the Altar was a big one, dealing with mental illness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Martha is the, you know, she just finds a way to touch people and make people feel loved and accepted and understood. And that's the best way to move forward.
Well, see, with Signed Sealed, you know, I mean, we'll move into that portion of the interview because that's a perfect segue. You know, you might have a future in this business a little bit here. But with Signed Sealed, you know, we started rewatching the shows with doing DLO After the Show, and one of the more recent ones that we rewatched was the one where the soldier saved the Middle Eastern girl, and then she ended up going on to college, and then, you know, we called that episode the Ripple Effect, because, like you said, her Martha's storytelling is really poignant when it comes to it, you know, it'll start one place and it'll take you into a complete and total different area, and by the time you're done watching it, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and in a good way, because you realize just how true these stories are, and how that they have, like, you know, I mean, Hallmark movies are great, you know, Hallmark TV shows are great, but a lot of them are just, you know, like stories that you would see in a book. A lot of the stories that have come with Signed, Sealed, Delivered, you can actually see happening. You know, you can actually see that these stories would be something that would actually occur. And again, To the Altar was, or, you know, with talking about mental health, that's been something that is not talked about nearly enough.
No.
And, you know, when a lot of people, I mean, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, mental illness was always schizophrenia. Mental illness was always manic depression, or no, not even depression. They would just say manic or bipolar, but they don't talk about anxiety, like extreme anxiety.
Well, I think with To the Altar, it was handled so delicately and so beautifully that you didn't even, first of all, you didn't even see it coming. And then when it got to that place and that's what it was like you could eat, not that I have any issues accepting it because it's part of our family itself, but it was this thing that you could say, okay, I get it. I accept that. It's something that was just so natural after watching that and the progression.
So yeah, it's with that, you know, and again, going back and listening to a couple of other interviews that you've done. For one, I really love the fact that you based your character Rita on Buddy the Elf, which
it's
again,
true. That is really honestly, because when I first booked the role, I was like, what? I'm getting fired for sure. I was waiting to get fired at any minute. I was up for another series. I had tested for another show, and I was really contemplating taking that show. So, but Martha called me and said, because she kept trying to call me, and I was like, I don't want to answer, because if she calls me, I can't say no, you know, and because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
But that show was a sci-fi show, and I'd already been in that world, whereas I'd never done comedic work. I'd never been in this kind of, I'd never played a character like Rita. And she called me and said, look, if you do this, I will write for you every day, and I will make your life heaven when you come to work.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, you don't say no to that. And you don't say no to Martha, I realize now. So I said yes. And then during the pilot, I still was so like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't know how to play this. And Boothie will tell this. I don't know if she told this story. It's really funny. When I first walked into the read-through, she looked at me and was like, oh, hi. Because the character description of Rita was very different. So she looked at me, and she knew Scott Smith, the director. She didn't see me see this, but she looked over at Scott and said, what is happening?
She did say that.
I saw her say that. Did you say about me? And all I wanted to do was reach over the table and say, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to get fired. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, like, she goes, you saw me do that? I was like, yes, I saw you do that. But when I rewatched the pilot, because if you watch the pilot, Rita's a bit different. She's much more skittish and kind of like awkward that way. But when I watched the pilot, I was like, oh, I know where to go with this. And Martha and I had a meeting, and Martha was like, listen, you are not who I thought was going to be this role. You were not at all the girl that I thought that I was going to cast for this. So we need to really come together and write for you. And I had an idea, and she had the same idea. And Buddy the Elf was my inspiration because he just really believes in everything. You know, he's so genuine and kind, and like, maybe it's over the top and a little much, but it's come from a place of love.
It is.
And I can pull that off.
With us being a Christmas family, that's one of our favorite movies to watch, you know, and I mean, just the scenes where Will Ferrell is, you know, sitting there, he asks if, he goes, can I have syrup on my spaghetti? She goes, syrup? He goes, does it have sugar? She goes, yes. He goes, then yes. You know, I mean, everything about him is just, everything in his core is genuine, and everything, and there's that innocence about him, but you know, that he throws everything about, you know, everything that he loves, everything that he believes in, he just throws himself in, mind, body, and soul. Yeah. So that's something you can see with Rita, with the way she talks to every single member of the Postable team, anyone that she interacts with, and to the altar when she's at the seamstress, and she's talking to her about, you know, the dressmaker, and she's talking to her about everything, and everything about the way you portray that character is brilliant. And you see that thought, you know, you see that inspiration come through, that genuineness come through. So that's really, really, you know, we absolutely love it.
Yeah, I would say the scene that I feel is most Rita-ish is when Will Ferrell walks into the Seattle's best coffee or New York's best coffee, and he's like, "You did it!" We're like, "What? Congratulations! You have the best coffee in the world!" I love that scene.
And then he's like,
"Well, it's you have the world's best coffee! Congratulations!" Because like, what? That's just a sign.
And then he's like, "Yeah. Good for you." And then he walks out. Yeah, that's again, that is, and I'm not going to be able to watch that scene the same way, because I'm just going to take Will Ferrell out and just see Rita come in and be like, that is so amazing. You guys did a great job.
Rita would do the exact same thing. Yeah.
And then along with that, something that Tash and I absolutely love on Signed, Sealed, Delivered, we call it background dialogue. You know, you always see everything in the forefront. You know, the characters will be talking, but with the directors, they capture it perfectly. In the background, you guys will be out of focus a little bit, and something will happen in the foreground, and then whether it's Eric and Kristen in the background with you and Jeff in the front, or vice versa, we'll see you guys kind of lean over and just kind of whisper something to each other, or you'll like grab Jeff's arm and be like, and then his character will react. My question is, do you guys actually plan what you're saying, or is it just all right, we'll just act like we're talking in the background?
Yeah, we don't plan anything. And usually what we're actually saying in the background is like, do I have something in my teeth? Did you look at my teeth? You didn't look. Could you just look at my teeth right now? Or like, God, my underwear's up my butt. I gotta pull it out. You know, things like that is probably what we're actually saying back there. You know, just ridiculous stuff.
That's hilarious.
Here's a funny tidbit I'll tell you guys that I love this story because it's still in the pilot and Martha never got it. I could never hit my mark in the beginning, like never hit my mark. Okay, so your mark is where you have to land, right? Because the lighting is all there and where the camera is. And I just sucked at that. I still suck at it. Sorry, playing.
It's okay.
So in the pilot, when he says Shane, and he goes after her, there's a moment where you see us in the background, kind of between them, and you see me standing here, and then all of a sudden you see this. And it's because Jeff goes like this and puts his hand behind my back and goes, he's like, "You're not on your mark," and pulls me over, and I'm like, oh God, I'm not on my mark.
I need to go see that.
You'll see it. It's hilarious. And when I watched the pilot, I was like, oh my God, they kept it. They didn't notice that Jeff was like, oh, come over here. Now you're on your mark.
That's so funny. There was another scene, and I can't remember which episode it was, but there was a scene where it was Kristen Booth and Eric. They were talking, and it was a real serious scene, and I think it may have actually been To the Altar, because in the scene, Rita and Norman, they turn around and they start walking away. Like Rita's like, because Norman wanted to stay and just talk, and she's like, no, just come on. So you guys are walking off, and you kind of just lean over, and the way Jeff acts it is like a like a realization again. Though
they were at the lake. It was when they were traveling across.
Oh, in the RV.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like I was giving them some time.
Yes.
Like we got that. Yes.
And
yeah, like dude, get a clue.
yeah. Again, a lot of the stuff that you guys do, a lot of this, just the acting, something that we've said almost every episode is there's a lightning in a bottle with this show, because from the pilot, with a lot of shows, it takes a while for the characters to click, for the chemistry to really go through. From jump, you guys were hitting your. It's funny you say hitting your marks. You guys were hitting your marks every single episode from the beginning, and you fall in love with these characters. And I'm pretty sure that's why you look at Twitter and the hashtag Postables, and you see how feverish all of us are to wanting to get the show to come back.
I know.
And we love how I will say that, and we said this. We both said this when To the Altar was done. We're like, it feels like they're buttoning everything up for the most part. Like everything is having this finality to it. We hope there's more, but because of course
I hope there's more too. I mean, nobody knows. So I mean,
it's so weird.
I don't know. I mean, maybe the higher ups, but I'm not sure. I have no idea. I think the thing that Martha does, you'll notice actually at the end of every kind of chunk of movies, Martha never wants to leave the audience feeling like they were left without some sort of payoff. So she'll purposely tie things up at the end of each segment, just in case she gets busy and she has to do other things, which she's crazy busy right now. So she never wants to leave her audiences. She always believes in giving them, some sort of closure. So I think that's why you're feeling that. But if you look back on the endings of all the other chunks, you'll see that you could have technically said this was tied up at those places too.
Okay, right on.
And she does that on purpose because she really doesn't want to leave, she still has to make decisions on what's going on and where it's going. But Martha's a master writer.
She's a really good storyteller.
Both things. And she still has left lots open. I mean, obviously we want to see those two get married. I can't imagine us not seeing those two get married. That would be crazy. But, I'm not in charge. I don't do the ordering.
I'm curious with you said you didn't really connect with the pilot. Once you sat down with Martha and you rewrote that, is that when you really connected with that role, or did it take some more episodes?
Yeah, no, it was immediate. I just needed to see it. I just needed to see Rita because I never played anything like Rita. It was really, I just didn't think I could. I was like, I'm not funny. Nobody's going to like what I do. Like, this is not something that people want to see me do. And when I saw the character, I was like, oh, I know what I need to do with it. I know what I can make truthful, which is, I have a pretty big heart in real life. That's who I am. And I really try to always see the best in people, even to a fault. So I understood. And so bringing that into Rita made total sense for me. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. I understand that's who Rita is. She's just super naive and hasn't really, experienced the world the same way, or she just is, held back and observed that's who she is. And so, falling in love and all that stuff is still new for her. And there's lots of people that I think relate to that and are the same way. That's what I love about Norman and Rita, especially on the Hallmark Channel, because everybody's beautiful on TV all the time, but everybody's gorgeous. You watch a Hallmark, you're like, wow, everybody's, but Norman and Rita are unique. They're very different. And I really don't see people like Norman and Rita to be that very often on the network. And I think that's what's really cool about them, because it reaches, and people that don't have anyone to relate to that are like, oh, I totally get Norman. I would never go up and talk to her. I didn't even know she liked me for like 5 years. I had no idea. So we offer that as characters to people to see themselves and feel understood.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, Norman is a character that I relate to. Just from from a nerd standpoint, from being a little bit clueless at times, from also just having these just little quirks that Jeff throws into that character as well. And again, something that I mention almost every episode as well is Jeff's acting when it comes to really wanting to rip your heartstrings out is, I mean, he's great comedic actor, but then when it comes to saying, hey, look, you guys need to cry because I'm about to turn it up to 11. And he does, and it's just absolutely amazing. And Kristen said that he's really hilarious on set, and he really, you know, and he's just really good like that. But again, just seeing those, she said that she was, you know, looking at the dailies in the episode. Actually, it was the pilot. Oh wait, was the pilot the one with the spoons, or was that the episode after? That was the episode after.
Yes.
And when he finds out that the lady with the stamps passed away, and she said she was just watching that and she was just like crushed, you know, and you know, so again, he's really, really good. And you had mentioned that you really hadn't done anything comedic before. Signed Sealed. Now, I was looking at your IMDb profile.
Yeah.
And
Rita is very different than everything else you do.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, you know, that's why when I got the breakdown, I was like, did you send me the wrong size? And he said, no, they want to see you. And I'm like, why? Like, she's like, they wanted to see you. I mean, they came to me on Monday. We went to camera on Wednesday.
Wow.
Because they had searched everywhere. They, you know, a friend of mine actually tested for it like 6 times. So they were really, really, really searching to find just the right match and to pair with Jeff well. And Jeff and I have a history together. We've known each other since we were in high school.
Oh, wow.
You know, we grew up in the same small town. And we did Primeval together, which was the other series that I was on. So we have a history, and we have very good chemistry. It's just I mean, he drives me crazy, and I drive him insane. But we also love each other. Like there's nobody. He goes, you know, you really summed it up when you said this last time. But there's nobody that I can like be like, you're driving me crazy, and then be like, okay, I love you. Do you want coffee? Like that's our relationship. You know, it's like family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we love and hate each other literally within 5 seconds, and you know, and then he'd be like, I'm sorry, I love you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I love you. You're like, you know,
did that help you slip into that role then? If being that was like he was there, and
it just made it easy, you know, it just made it comfortable. It's not like I didn't know him and I had to force it. I was like, oh, it's Jeff, you know, and Jeff is so talented and so good. But that was a little bit hard for me at the beginning because I was like, oh my God, he's so funny. I can't compete with his funny. And then I realized, I don't try to compete with his funny.
Right.
Just do your own thing and compliment yourself. And then you two will compliment each other. And thank God I did that because that really worked, you know, because you can't compete with Jeff's funny. Nobody can. To me, he is one of those great comedians. And if he wanted to be, would be at a level of, you know, Steve Martin and those kind of guys. I could
totally see that.
Jeff is comfortable and happy where he is. But he's that level
now
of an actor.
Now, with seeing how he does with comedic roles and things like that, I did see that you were dabbling in improv a little bit. Do you pull a little bit of that from, you know, like vibing off of the other actors that you work with? Or was that something that you've always just kind of wanted to do, was just get in there and just kind of, you know, from the start, just start going?
Oh, because I'm starting doing improv, you mean?
Yeah.
So, oh, you know what? I have this thing where I like to do things that terrify me, and I'm terrified of improv. I'm terrified of comedy. I'm terrified of stand up. So I'm gonna do them all.
Nice.
You know, and I'm gonna take every class, and I teach acting as well. And this is what I tell my students. I've been doing this for 20 years professionally. I'm very lucky. I've worked in many different films with some great, amazing people. I will never stop learning. I will never stop studying. I will never stop going and trying to be better because I'm an artist, and there's no ceiling for art. You just want to grow in that. So when I started with the improv, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not good at it, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm like, eventually I'll get better. And yeah, I want to do the things that scare me the most, because then once you do those things, you're like, well, it's not that scary. I'm alive.
Right.
You know, I maybe didn't get as many laughs as I wanted, but nothing happened.
You know,
so
doing improv, you know, it's one of those things where the biggest hurdle is stepping on the stage. and actually saying, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna do this, and I'm out in front of everyone now, so I guess I have to now.
Yeah, and I have no script. Like, I mean, when we did a little performance with with the class that I went to, and I was like, before, I'm like, okay, well, should we run something? Should we pitch ideas? Like, well, how do you want to? And they were like, there isn't anything to pitch. That's not improv. Like, you just have to get out there, and you guys can hang out, but there's no pre-planning. I'm like, oh, what? But it's really a lesson in trusting your other actors and communicating in ways that I didn't realize I could communicate in. To try to get them to see where you're going with it. And then if they don't see where you're going with it, going, okay, doesn't matter, let's turn this way. So it really shows you how to move and shift and change and not be so precious and stuck in your own idea. And I think that helps you in life. And you're like, okay, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe your idea works better. Let's just try your idea, and that's the whole basis of improv is yes and. You're always saying yes, and then what? If you never say no, you don't shut someone down. You just try to add on to their great idea. And that's a pretty lovely place to be.
And I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, does the improv, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Does the improv make it easier for your roles then to be able to, because everything is so spur of the moment with the improv, everything else is planned and all your other characters.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because that's how I work as an actor as well. I always say I work from the body up, not the mind down. Actors work in all different ways. And a lot of actors work from the mind down. So they'll break down script, analyze, make choices. And then that's the choices that they have. And that's what they want to do. Whereas I work from the body up. So does Kristen. So, I'll just read it over and over and over again. And I'll say the words out loud. And then I see where it goes. Mm-hmm. And then I make choices on like, oh, okay, that's actually not what it's that I work from the body up. How do I feel during this moment? What does this feel like? If I'm listening actively, really listening to the other person, then how are they making me feel? And then I go from there as opposed to the other way. So improv is kind of, it's beneficial for me because it's already in the same world as how I work.
Well, one of the things is I mean, even with this interview and other interviews that I've listened to with you, is you're very quick. So, and you've also mentioned how, you're always analyzing the characters, even when you're not even in an acting setting. It's like, well, what would they do? Or why are they doing this? What's the motivation behind it? So that would work. That works perfect with improv, because.
Yeah, Kristen and I were driving recently and we were talking about somebody we knew. And we're like, well, why do you think he's like that? What do you think it comes from? Like, maybe, do you think it's because of his parents? And I started laughing in the middle of this conversation. I was like, oh. Only actors if someone's being a jerk. I'm like, but where do you think it comes from? Like, what's the root of the pain? Why are they doing? We just stopped and just laughed because I was like, this is such an actor-y thing to do. But yeah, I do that in life because I'm so curious. I always want to find out where those things really root from, where anger comes usually from fear, and all these things. And then I really try to have empathy for people, and that's how I work.
That's awesome. Wow. That's awesome. Now we're getting close to the end. We're here at the tail end of the interview, and I just wanted to ask a few more rapid fire stuff. With I'm looking at some of your other roles that you've done. You've been in multiple genres, whether it was horror movies and being a scream queen a bit, to Hallmark and wholesome movies. We were just watching one of your Christmas movies on Hallmark, and then also Wonder, where I'll put your character politely as not nice. But in the lull of Signed, Sealed, Delivered not being on, I did see and I retweeted that you just directed and produced The Curtain. And did I just see that it just won an award as well?
It's just it's been in now, I think, 27 festivals. It's been an official selection for over 27 festivals. We've won Best Short in Naples. We won the Award of Excellence in the Canada Short Film Fest, we just were awarded. Mm-hmm. I got nominated for Best Director, Best International Director at the Independent Portland Film Festival. So it's been a great ride. And that short, it's good. Once it's done at Festival Circuit, then I can actually release it. So I'll put the link out so people can come and check it out. I think it kind of tells you the type of storyteller I am and the type of stories that I'm really drawn to.
Really can't wait to see it because the buzz is really good. It's a short film. It's only 17 minutes. So it's about two people that meet in a hospital and they never see each other because the curtain's drawn. But they open up to each other because the curtain's drawn.
And when you don't see somebody, you can really relate to people in ways that you never thought
I
you
love
would.
the concept. Absolutely love the concept.
It's a great idea. It was based on a true story. The writer is Brenda Whitehall, and she based it on a story from a friend of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And then my producing partner in Vancouver, Ashley Alexander, who's amazing. She's my other hand. She helped me produce it.
Right on.
So it was a great experience. Really, really great.
As soon as you can release the link, we'll definitely help push that because it sounds amazing.
I can't wait to see it.
That's really, really good.
I know. I hope you guys enjoy. And I actually just shot. This is great. I just shot a short film with my husband, who acted in it. Who's not an actor.
Nice.
So we collaborated with a friend of ours, and yeah, we did a short film together. There's no dialogue in it, but it's I think it's really cool. It was such an amazing experience, and because he's not an actor and has never done it before, he was so brave.
Nice.
To just get on camera and be like, okay, well, what do I do? So
That's
I'll let
awesome.
you guys know when that's available.
Please do.
Also,
now that we are in the holidays coming up, now is Christmas a big thing for your family?
It is, yeah. I mean, the problem is my family's all over the place. So, like my mom and my dad, my stepdad, my dad, lives in Walla Walla, Washington. So they're all the way over there, and then we're all over the place. We're kind of back and forth all over. So we're trying to figure out if we meet in the middle. We always celebrate Christmas with them early, because they, on Christmas Day, like to just be by themselves and avoid all traffic and all that. And so it actually works out. So we usually do Christmas with them like the 22nd or the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
We have our own Christmas. We do our big thing. And then on the 25th, my husband is the oldest of 10 children. So his family is very large. Crazy. So the tree is like Christmas presents all the way up. It's actually insane, but a lot of fun. And they throw a big party. So we usually... that's where we spend our Christmas night with them.
Kind of sounds like my grandmother's house when Christmas morning.
For not 10.
Not 10 siblings, but the presents and the tree. I mean, you can't walk at all. You have to have like an assembly line to pass presents out to the kids. It's insanity. Really quick, what would you say would be one? I'm putting you on the spot really quick. What would you say is one of your favorite Christmas movies?
Well, Elf is 100%. Love Actually is my absolute favorite. I watch Love Actually every single Christmas. It's like a tradition.
Yeah. Feel it in my fingers.
Every time.
Feel it in my toes.
It's the best. And you know what? The best part of that film is the beginning in the airport.
Yes.
It's my favorite scene of that whole. It opens the entire film, and what it says about, people say the world is mean, but look, when you get to an airport, all you see is people hugging each other and loving each other, and that is. I love that so much.
The bookends of that, and then with them showing everyone again hugging at the very end with God Only Knows playing over it is just like it's giving me goosebumps right now. And just there's one scene in that movie where it's Alan Rickman is doing he's doing something nefarious, but you have his name just left, Mr. Bean. You know who I'm talking about. Sorry.
Hugh Grant?
No, not Hugh Grant. But the guy who plays Mr. Bean. And his name is... Rowan Atkinson.
Yes.
Seeing that scene where he's not saying anything, but he's filling the bag and he's going like this, and there's no dialogue. And then you see Alan Rickman, he's just like, I shouldn't be doing this. Come on, hurry up. That scene is just brilliant, and it's... You would think that it was filler, but you just watch what he's doing, and it's just absolutely brilliant. That's one of our favorite movies. Yeah. Now, one thing I will say is we asked this question of Kristen with her interview. Speaking of Love Actually, because it actually came up, Alan Rickman came up. Because that was one of the actors that she wishes that she could have acted with. Yeah. And we actually came up with this theory that it would have been hilarious if, for some reason... Harry Potter's letter got lost, and the DLO actually ended up having to deliver that to him, and ended up at Hogwarts.
I literally would lie on the floor and cry of happiness if that happened. If I get to go in Harry Potter's world. My husband just started listening to the books on audio. He has a huge drive to work every morning, so he always listens to books on tape doing this. And he's like, I'm going to start listening to Harry Potter because you always talk about it. And he's so funny. He told me, he goes, God, you she's a really good writer. I was like, yeah, you think it's J.K. Rowling? I mean, the book did, this is, how long did this take you to get attached to this book? He's like, she's good. I'm like, yeah, she's good. I mean, those books are,
they're great.
I hope that letter gets lost. I will go through the chimney.
I mean, we were saying,
go down on Hogwarts.
We thought it would be hilarious if Shane had to deal with Snape. And then you can see Eric Mabius, or you can see Oliver talking to Dumbledore. And then you would see. I mean, I can just imagine Norman having to deal with the Weasley twins. And then
or the beasts. I'd way rather see Norman deal with all those beasts and Hagrid.
Yes,
I'd love to see Norman try to figure that out. And I think he would be terrified to then fall in love with them. The big dogs. And all that stuff.
And we always thought it would be amazing if Rita had to end up speaking with wow, all the names are just escaping me right now. McGonagall. And having like really
Professor?
Yeah, Professor McGonagall, and having Rita and McGonagall just having like really, and they probably would think that with her photographic memory that she was some type of wizard as well. So anyway,
not a muggle ananymore.
Not a muggle anymore. So thank you so much for doing this interview. We really, really appreciate the time you took.
Having me.
And obviously we want to put out your social media. Everyone can find you. You're one of the smart celebrities out that's got real Crystal Lowe, and it blanketed across everything. So that's pretty much where everyone can get you, right?
Yeah, Real Crystal Lowe is Instagram, Real Crystal Lowe is Twitter. Yeah, it was getting a bit confusing, and as much as I really appreciate people, I'm pretending to be me, I guess, it gets a bit strange because I'm like, I don't know if they're fan pages or if they're pretending to be me. And I have had one person pretend to be me and then tried to add me, which I thought, I'm probably not going to say yes to you because you're pretending to be me, and then
that's weird.
Why would I say yes?
Why are people weird?
That was bizarre. I mean, I really love the fan pages, people that are doing that. I love that. It's amazing. It's I couldn't ask for a better compliment. Mm-hmm. But that part was weird. I was like, well, you can't pretend to be me and then try to add me. I'm probably not going to follow you. That's bizarre. I'm just going to follow myself.
Actually, Leanne Rimes, with her Christmas movie that just came out, I was tweeting about it, and all of a sudden I get followed by someone that has the same profile picture. The name was off by just one letter, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Leanne Rimes just followed me. Then I looked at it, I was like, "Wait a minute!" And they're I'm like, "Why do people?"
Rhyme Z.
Yeah, Rhyme Z. I don't understand why people do it. People are weird, like you said. It's just an odd thing to do. But again, if anyone wants to follow Crystal Lowe on social media, Twitter, Instagram, those are your main ones, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Real Crystal Lowe. She has a bunch of projects that are coming out. Make sure that you guys check those out. Hopefully, we'll get to see more Signed Seal delivered. But we also know that if not, we will see more. You see more of you in the future.
You'll see me following Kristen Booth around and hugging her and cuddling her and eating dinner with her everywhere, whenever I can.
And
she's my sister from another mister.
We actually absolutely love seeing you guys, doing like the 12-week weight challenge, which I heard that was actually Jeff's brother that was running that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool.
So, doing that and, that friendship that's, moved from screen to real life and seeing you guys really interact. It's nice to see when people, I mean, this is going to sound silly, but it's nice to see people actually get along.
Oh, no, she's like one of my best friends on the planet, and we will be for the rest of our lives. So I'm so, Signed Seal did many things for me, but that was one of the most important things that it did for me.
That is so awesome. So,
and I can't wait to see the curtain and anything else you do, because I'm an empathetic person. Obviously, I have a different view than a lot of people. And so being able to see someone who tries to open the minds and hearts of people it makes my heart happy. So I can't wait to see more of your work.
Good, thank you. And that's really what it is. I feel like I was really fortunate growing up, also being a mixed race too, and really understanding that. So I was very much part of two worlds, and that was totally normal. But I also experienced a lot of weird stuff being part of two worlds. The real spelling of my last name is L-O, not L-O-W-E.
Was going to ask about that.
I had to change my name to L-O-W-E to appear more Caucasian. because I couldn't get work, and because people would go, well, you sort of are Asian, so we can't match you up with families. So there was a lot of weird stuff that I experienced that I didn't even realize what I was being told, but now LOW is my name, and it has been for years, and I like it, so it's not changing. But the underlying message of that was change who you are, because we don't want to see who you really are. We can't understand or accept you. And so there's all these weird messages that have been told to all of us that I don't even think we realize, and I think that's something I'm trying to kind of unravel myself and then share with other people and see if we can unwind a bunch of the stuff. I just watched some of the old Disney movies that I loved, and I'm like, what?
One example is the Aristocats. The Aristocats with one of the musical numbers with the Siamese cat, and he has chopsticks, and he's like, they did the whole stereotypical buck teeth and the squinty eyes, and I was just like, why are we watching this?
And not for me, not even just Disney movies. Some of the old Christmas movies that I love, I'm like, oh god,
oh my god, and because it was a different time, and people just didn't see things. But as we get, as the human race evolves, hopefully, we just are opening our eyes more. So I just want to be a part of that, and I want to do it with storytelling. I really do. Like the storytelling, I know as an actor, you're like, oh, what kind of difference do I make? You make a huge difference, because somebody is watching this, and if I can affect one person that watches Rita and says, I get her, she's like me, and I feel comfortable now because there's somebody else like that on TV or in the world, then that's like the best gift I could ever have gotten, and the best gift I can give. So as a director, I want to continue to pick scripts that, really push that, and also use the incredible platform I've been given to talk to people openly, loving me without judgment, and just have these discussions.
Well, I think well, actors have been given a platform. I think that's also a thought process that needs to go to everyone, because, we're just husband and wife in the Pacific Northwest, but we try and make our corner of the world as happy and as positive as we can. And I feel like that gets lost on so many people. And so I totally agree with that. And I hope that more people try, not just actors, just normal moms, normal dads, normal people, try and make the world a better place.
Well, one of the beautiful things
we don't know who you're affecting next door.
Well, one of the things that I love is, I love and hate about the era that we're in. Everyone with social media, everyone has a platform. Everyone has the ability to speak their mind. Some people use it for bad reasons. Some people use it to uplift. And something that, like she just said, we're just a couple in the Pacific Northwest, that are slightly fish out of water, because the town that we live in, it's funny because when we first moved here, I would walk down the street and I don't know if you're a fan of Arrested Development, but whenever
I know it, but I don't watch it a lot.
Okay, well, whenever I would see another black person, I was like, there are dozens of us, but I would look and we would kind of give each other like a little a knowing nod. Like
you and me.
We're the only ones here, man. We gotta stick together.
Yeah.
But when we get out and we do, like, for instance, this show, and I'll put out an episode, and then I'll see tweets and retweets, and then I'll see someone saying, I was having a rough day, and I put this on while I was at work, and I just had it playing in the background, and it just made me smile, and it made me happy. One of the hashtags for this episode, for the show, is Happy Bubble, because there's so much dark going on out in the world that sometimes you just need to get. Sometimes it's nice to be. It's not ignoring what's going on, but sometimes it's good to just rejuvenate in a happy bubble, to be able to have that uplifting.
Yeah, and to remember that you're allowed to rejuvenate too, right? Like, it's really important. I have to remind myself that, like, I'm allowed to just stop for a second and breathe, and then spend an entire day looking for all the good. Just spend one day, and my husband practices this. He has a little harder time than I do. But, see everything positive in that day, and every time you could, just one day. And if you catch yourself saying, "Oh, I don't like this," eggs are running, and this is it, stop and go, "No, you know what? I have eggs today. Oh my God, I'm so lucky to have these eggs. They're delish." And then you go, "Oh yeah, I also have coffee. Oh my God, I love coffee. Coffee's amazing." I had a pot. I have an extra piece of bacon in the fridge. It's amazing. I didn't think I had that. So just one day out of just for yourself, to just see everything positive. it will change the rest of your week. And then you can go back to being grumpy and hating everything then. But give yourself the time to remember that flowers grow, and that's pretty awesome. And we are, walking outside. And I don't like to say, people have less, so we should be grateful. It's more that we should all be just grateful, for one thing every day. And even people with less are grateful for something, so it just helps us cope and carry on.
Yeah.
I have a friend right now that's actually going through something very similar, and she's like, look, I may not have much, but I'm awake, I'm breathing, I love my daughter, I actually have a job that I can get in the car, that I have a car to be able to drive to and then be able to go to work. I'm able to keep moving, I'm able to move forward, not backwards. That is something that I really think.
That's become an important part for us with me being sick for so long. You have to take those things that you took for granted before, or not those things you took for granted before, but you took all these things for granted before. And when you lose those, you learn to be real grateful for everything you do have.
Yeah, and you forget how wonderful this thing. And I think children do that too. When you're around children, they really remind you of look at the plane. Oh yeah, planes are awesome. I forgot. Oh, flowers. Yeah, they smell really pretty. Isn't that awesome? Like, you forget when you're surrounding yourself with kids and they see things for the first time, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Because I've been told by commercials, and I've been told by books, I've been told by magazines that I need all these other things to be super, super happy. And that's just not true. Yeah. You don't actually need all those things. That Ferrari will make you happy for an hour. Maybe a month, but it's not going to make you happy forever, and that's why we see all these big people, with lots of money and things, but they seem really unhappy. And it's because it doesn't come from the stuff outside, it comes from here. So we have to find ways to, and I think just gratitude, the daily gratitude for one thing, is can help everybody carry on better. And that attracts more. Gratitude attracts more gratitude from other people. When I walk down the street, I always try to look at least two people and smile and say, hi, good morning. And they're always like, oh, good morning. That keeps going. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah, I think just really quick ending on what you were saying, piggybacking on that, is a prime example is, a lot of people don't like shoveling snow. They think that it's a chore, shoveling snow. They don't like, do that. Yeah. And me, personally, I don't mind it. But yesterday I was outside, we got a pretty nice dump. So I'm out there shoveling the snow. And my son, our son, I should say, he's 6 years old. He comes outside and he's like, can I, come out too? So I'm out there, and I'm sweating. I'm, shoveling snow. And he's running up behind me with his shovel, throwing snow at me. And it's like, people are taking the time, people think, I got to shovel snow, but you could be having a snowball fight, So, I just posted a video and a picture to go along with it of him throwing snow at me, and it goes in slow motion. And then the picture next to it is snow all in my face. You take the time to look at your situations differently, and it can make you realize that it's, yes, some situations are terrible, but they don't always have to be bad,
Well, and you have the choice to. You do have. I think people feel like they lose control. They've lost control, and and their life is running them, and it's not. You have a choice in every moment to make a decision. Am I going to get angry at him? Go, stop throwing that snow, or am I going to stop and be like, you know what? I'm just going to go with you in this, and we're going to make some snow angels, and we're going to laugh about it. It's going to be a great memory for my kid. Yeah. There's times where we're humans, so we cannot be perfect all the time, obviously, and sometimes the dart takes over. But if you can just choose to do one thing where you're like, I'm just going to stop and breathe and make the other choice, which is to laugh.
Yeah.
This would make my day better.
Yeah, exactly.
So why wouldn't I try to make my own day better? You know?
I think that's a perfect stopping point. We eased into the happy bubble, and I think we're just going to go ahead and just harness that right there.
Well, and I also think on that note that our choices of how we choose to react to things not only impact us, but impact our children and impact those around us, because then we're the example for how you handle difficult things.
Yes, exactly. And it helps get that next generation in a good temperament, as opposed to just being angry all the time. So,
absolutely.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of DLO After the Show. We really hope you enjoyed the interview. We are looking forward to after Christmas, really getting back into the episodic shows. We do have, we're trying, I mean, if you're listening to this in the future, today is the 2nd of December. We're trying to get Eric Mabius on before his Christmas movie debuts on the 9th. Not sure if it'll actually happen, but we will give it.
Next weekend.
That's next weekend. So we're going to have to be, it may have to be, so the show is out and let's talk about it. But we look forward to doing more episodes for you guys. Thank you so much, Crystal, for being a great interview.
It's been wonderful to talk with you.
Absolutely. We love your work.
Nice to speak to you as well. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Anytime. And is there anything you want to say to the Postables?
Postables, I love you. You guys know, all of you up there. I just, I'm always in awe of you. I'm so grateful for you. And I love the friendship that you guys have created and the safe spaces that you've created for people. I have sent people to the Postables that have felt like they were in need of a support. And you've really created a support group. And as much as Signed Sealed is very important, what's more important is what you've created. And that zone that you've given yourself and the people in your community to just feel like they have somebody to talk to. I'm so grateful for you guys.
And we most certainly are as well. We stumbled upon we loved the show since it started. We stumbled upon the Postables before the movie Before To the Altar, and next thing you know, I mean, my Twitter blew up with everyone welcoming us. So it was great. I mean, we ended up getting T-shirts. So
amazing,
absolutely amazing group. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of DLO After the Show, and we will talk to you on the next one.